Hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello and welcome to Glowmas. So for today's Glowmas video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I like to do these sort of yearly roundups every year, although normally they're much more focused on resolutions for the new year. With just a couple of days left in 2021, I feel like a lot of people start getting a little nostalgic and also start thinking more about how they want to do like new year, new me. I was very much a new year, new me person up until 2020. And that's because at the end of 2019, I made a lot of goals and a lot of hopes and dreams. Then they just didn't happen. I'm not really feeling like doing any resolutions this year. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have anything particularly that I want to change, nor any sort of standard I want to hold myself to. I just feel like because of the way that things change so rapidly in our society and world and everything feels crazy, I don't really want to hold myself to any sort of standard going into the new year. I just would like to keep going. You know what? Actually, that's my resolution. My resolution this year is to just wake up every day and try my best. And I'm gonna keep trying to do that throughout the year and into 2022. But today's video, I thought it might be kind of fun to go through and just sort of look back on the year of 2021 in pictures. I don't have a ton of pictures. I'm not a big picture taker. I used to be, but not so much anymore. But I do have some, and I thought it'd be fun to show you guys some pictures you probably haven't seen before because I never shared them. And just talk about sort of my year separated into months and just give a little recap, because even though this year was shitty, it's pretty shitty in a lot of ways. Even though this year was pretty shitty, I also feel like there were good shining moments throughout the year, and I want to highlight those instead of ending on a more negative note. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. If you're interested in that, keep watching. Sorry, this is a little bit more me-centered content. I know I haven't been doing too much of this lately, but I thought it'd be good just to kind of do like a little mini year in review. Couple days left in the year. I'm feeling nostalgic. Also, is it just me or did this year fly by so fast? I feel like this year went by so crazily fast. I don't know what happened. I feel like I blinked and it was over. Maybe it's just, it didn't feel like it in the moment, but now that it's over, it's like, oh my God, everything went by too fast. Anyway, the first picture I want to show you guys was actually posted on my Instagram, but this was the last picture I took in 2020. It was me, Charles, and the dogs. We were home on New Year's, home alone, together. Pretty much how all of 2020 was, which was just us alone in our home together with the dogs. And honestly, our New Year's this year is going to look very similar to this. We're not really doing anything. We're not really having people over. We just don't want to risk it with COVID. So this is pretty similar to what New Year's is going to look like for me this year. However, I'm going to get dressed up this year because I always love entering the new year dressed up. It just is like a fun way to start the year off with a bang, have like a cute little outfit. Maybe you'll see that in a few days, but I'm going to dress up this year, I think. I just thought this was funny. I love this picture. I feel like Oliver and Stella look so dopey. They're so cute. So let's start with January. One of the first actual pictures I have is a screenshot of our podcast, which at the time it was called the Middle Ground Podcast. It is now called The Glow Show. But my husband and I had our podcast. We had just started a few months prior and we hit 10,000 subscribers on that channel. Woo! That was very exciting for us because it was something that we started just because we were like bored. So to see it grow the way that it did, and even to see the way that it grew this year has been really cool. We're almost at 25,000. I think we're close over there. We're like 23,000 over there. So to see the way that it grew over the year has been really exciting and cool for us. It was something we just started for like fun, but it seems like something people genuinely do enjoy, which has been nice. Okay, the next picture I have was actually the very first video that I posted on the Hannah Glow channel. This video was me ranking the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And honestly, I loved this video and I love the Hannah Glow channel. I have so much fun with it. There was a little bit of pressure on the Hannah Glow channel in December just because we were trying to post a vlog every day, and that was definitely a little bit intense. But it was so much fun to do. We hit 25,000 subscribers on that channel, which was really cool. I really love posting the vlogs, and I also love that channel because I feel like it is a very different side to me than this channel. I feel like on the main channel, I'm always very kind of put together and like scripted, and you know, I don't necessarily do videos like this a ton anymore where I just like talk about my life or talk about stuff. So the vlog channel has been really fun because it's been a very like low pressure, low stakes part of my routine where I can just like sit in front of a camera and like chat about stuff. We documented our move over there. We're documenting stuff with the house. So yeah, I posted my very first Hannah Glow video and like really tried to stand on my own a little bit as a YouTuber that didn't necessarily do commentary, and that channel's done better than I ever thought. I thought I was gonna have like 2,000 subscribers over there forever. I never thought that that channel would grow to what it is today, which has been really, really cool. So shout out to Hannah Glow channel. I love talking about stuff with you guys over there. It's so fun. Also in January, I started working out, and I brought this up to say, this went well for a minute, and then it didn't. Really this year, I really want to, like I said, I'm not doing too many like resolutions, but this year a big sort of focus I would like to have would not necessarily be on losing weight, but it would just be on health. Like I just want to feel healthier. I just want to like work out more, be in better shape. So I put this in here because I was doing really good at it for a while. Like I was working out really consistently. I was like losing weight, but more than that, I was just healthier. And I stopped doing that towards like the middle of the year when my mental health started getting really bad. But I genuinely think that working out would help my mental health. So I put this in here because I want to get back into this mindset that I was in. Like that January Hannah was in a very like can-do attitude. She was like motivated as hell and like ready to go. Basically, she wasn't depressed. January 2021 Hannah is the Hannah I want to come back to, you know? Okay, next we have February, and there wasn't a ton that happened in February. February was actually when, I don't have a picture of it because it just like happened, but February was actually when we decided that we were going to be selling our house and starting to look at new homes. So we did a lot of like house hunting in February. Like we didn't go in places because we didn't have our vaccines yet. Some of my favorite times and memories with Charles from this time period was when we would just like get in his car and drive around to different neighborhoods and look at different houses. And we would just talk about our future and like what we wanted our future to be and where we wanted to live and what kind of house we wanted. And it's kind of surreal actually now that I'm sitting in our new house talking about that, because at that time it felt like such a pipe dream. It felt like something that was so far away, and now it's like here, it's happened. So that's kind of crazy, but we did a lot of that. And also my birthday was in February. I turned 26 years old. It's so funny on the internet. People either think that I'm like 20 or they think that I'm like 37. There's no in between. Those are the only comments I ever get about my age. Nobody ever knows that I'm actually just like 26, which feels weird though. I think it's weird because I started my YouTube channel when I was 21. So it feels weird that I've gone through the entirety of my early 20s, like on the internet. And now I've entered my late 20s on the internet. Just kind of weird. But anyway, this was my birthday cake. I couldn't have anyone over for my birthday. We couldn't do anything for my birthday, obviously, because of COVID. My mom sent me this really cute cake, and Charles and I got dinner at my favorite restaurant. We got takeout, and I remember we just drove around and looked at houses. It was very cute. I actually loved that birthday. It was a lot of fun. I normally put a lot of pressure on my birthday because I love like entertaining. I love throwing parties. I love having people together, and I still love doing that. But I think that this was a really sweet birthday, and it was really memorable because we had already been in the pandemic for basically a year. Actually, it was almost exactly a year on my birthday that we realized COVID was going to be bad. February of 2020, Charles and I were actually in Europe for my birthday, and we got home and people were like, oh, you might want to quarantine because of COVID. And we were like, what are you talking about? And then about 3 weeks later, everything closed down. So this was my first real birthday that I like really couldn't do anything or have people with me, but Charles made it really special. It was very sweet. He made it really cute, and we had a lot of fun. Also in February, Stella broke her leg. I wish I was kidding. My dog Stella, we had just gotten her a couple of months prior. She was still a baby. She first got spayed, so she had to go through surgery to get spayed, and she had to deal with that for 2 weeks. And then the day she took the cone off for getting spayed, she fell and she literally dislocated her kneecap and had to have surgery on her knee and had to be in 6 weeks of recovery. It was a really long recovery time. She had to go to physical therapy. She had to go to all these different doctor's appointments. It was a really good look at what having children could be like. Because I was suddenly like chauffeuring my dog to all these different doctor's appointments and specialists, and she got to go in like a treadmill pool thing. It was awful because she just was so sad that she couldn't run around and play with her brother. And Stella, if you watch the vlogs, she's a little bit more rambunctious than Oliver. She loves to play, loves to jump around, loves to be crazy, and she couldn't be for like 6 weeks, and it made me so sad. Okay, so in March of this year, I actually hit 300,000 subscribers, which was a huge milestone. It was very exciting. It did not see that coming. I never know what to say when it comes to like subscriber milestones, because for most of my channel, the only thing I ever wanted, and like all I ever wanted, was 100,000 subscribers. Like that was my goal for so long. It's all I wanted. I worked my ass off because I had this goal in my head of hitting 100K. And when I hit it, I was like, oh my God, it will never be better than this. Like I will never, like this is my peak. Like this is the best thing that could ever happen to me. And then with every new milestone, it just feels so surreal, because it's like, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, it's just surreal. Like even now at 400,000, it's like the most surreal feeling on the planet, because I never dreamed past 100. I never really thought I would get this far. So whenever I think about it too much, I get really emotional, because it's just like, you can't describe the feeling of what it feels like to have that many people want to know what you're talking about and subscribe to your content. Like it's like it's literally an undescribable feeling. It's nuts. Also in March, I got my first round of the vaccine, which was very exciting. You can see in this picture, I'm cheesing so hard. One of my favorite things that started happening when people started getting their vaccines was actually a TikTok trend where people showed like what they saw when they got their vaccine, and it would be like 60 seconds of little clips of everyone before the pandemic. Those made me so emotional. I still get emotional thinking about it, and that's high key. As I was getting my shot, like that is what I felt. Like I was seeing myself like at music festivals again, and going on vacations, and seeing my friends, and like being able to go out. Very happy I got vaccinated. I'm so grateful that I lived in a place where I could get vaccinated super early, because I know a lot of people couldn't get their vaccines till like April or May. The only reason we found spaces open was because a place in the city, like where we lived, opened up a new vaccine site only for certain zip codes. And our house at the time fell into that zip code. So we were able to get vaccinated, and it was such a blessing. Especially living with someone who's immunocompromised during the pandemic has been a very different experience than what I know my friends who don't go through that experience. So getting the vaccine was just such a feeling of like hope, and such a feeling of, you know, like things were going to be okay. And yeah, I loved this. I loved getting my vaccine. Also in March, I got married. I also fucked up. I got married, and I fucked up in the sense that I didn't really want to tell people that I got married, because, let me explain this, okay? So I was originally I got engaged in February of 2020, and I was going to get married in July of 2021. But then we had to push the wedding an entire year to now it's supposed to be July 2022. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we had to push the wedding to July of 2022. So we decided that in March, we were just gonna get married. Number one, I needed health insurance. And number two, we were just sick of like not being married. Like we got engaged for a reason. We wanted to be married. We had been together so long. We had a house together. We had dogs together. Like we were just ready to be married. And I didn't really want to tell people or make a big deal out of it, because the wedding that we had wasn't like it wasn't like an actual wedding. It was more just like a ceremony. Basically, we went to this little park. I don't know if I've told this story. Basically, we went to this little park that was like 20 minutes from our house. The day before, we actually drove to a bunch of different parks and like scouted locations, and we found this cute little one. And it was actually a place that Charles's grandmother had taken him a few times, which made it extra special because his grandma passed. So we went to this little park, and we only had our immediate family. So it was Charles's brother. My sisters weren't even there, actually. It was just Charles's brother and his dad and mom and stepdad. And then it was my mom and my dad. And we just got married in this cute little park. The rest of my family was on Zoom. Dad had a bunch of different phones set up that were like live streaming the event. So different family members could be there over Zoom, and my friends were able to watch it over Zoom. But we didn't want to make too big of a deal about it. Number one, because for us, it was just so much more of a formality. We talked about this on the podcast actually too. I keep plugging that, but we talked about it there where we were kind of like, it was just sort of, nothing really changed for us after we got married. There wasn't some sort of magic shift. The only difference was that I call him my husband now instead of like my fiance or my boyfriend. That's like literally the only difference. I like calling him husband better, by the way, but that's like the only difference. We already had a house together. We already had dogs. We already had a life together. So the marriage was just kind of a formality for us. And what we were both really more excited for was not even, obviously we were excited to get married, like actually sign the paperwork, But we were also just really excited to celebrate that with all of our friends and family and have our wedding. And like, that was the thing we were excited for about the marriage process, was like, honestly, we didn't even really need to, I mean, we needed to for tax reasons, but we didn't really need to get married to know that we were going to be committed to one another for the rest of our lives. So the thing we were excited about was the wedding. And then when the wedding couldn't really happen the way that I wanted it to, we have to like push it and do it again, basically. That was kind of a bummer, but I will say that this little like park thing was very cute, like very cute. I was sobbing. I was a mess the entire ceremony. I was like hysterically crying. Charles's twin brother actually got ordained so he could marry us. So he got ordained like a few weeks prior, and he was able to legally marry us, which was very cute. We had Oliver and Stella there, and like nobody really got too dressed up. Everybody just wore like whatever. Like I was wearing this like pink dress. It was very simple. There was no like craziness to it. It was literally just like, we got there, we were like, hey, we're getting married, we did it, and then we hung out for a minute and then we left. Like that was it. But there was something really sweet about it. It was a very, very cute experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I do wish that we had our actual wedding like at our wedding. I think that would have been nice, but I'm not mad at how things turned out and how things happened. I think everything happens for a reason, and I think that that little moment was very, very emotional and beautiful. But where I fucked up was I didn't tell anyone. And when you're a public, public person, you kind of have to tell people stuff like that. So I started calling him husband in my videos without thinking about it. And then everybody picked up on it and everyone was like, are you married? What happened? So I had to like put out a statement basically being like, yes, I am married. I just didn't really want to talk about it. Like it didn't seem like a big deal, but I guess it was a big deal. Like technically it was. I don't know. Anyway, I got married in March and it was very sweet. It was a very cute ceremony and I'm really happy with how everything turned out. So then in April, because we were fully vaccinated, we started actually house hunting and like going inside of different houses. This was so cool. I loved the house hunting process. I loved the like looking at all these different homes. I loved comparing and contrasting homes. I loved figuring out what we liked and didn't like. I had never been able to do that in my adult life. So it was very cool to get to go and like look at homes and look at places where we could potentially be living. I loved that experience. Also got some great interior design inspo from a lot of these houses. If you ever need interior design inspiration, just go to a bunch of open houses. People are very creative and they have some very good ideas. In April, I also royally screwed up my hair and then had it fixed. I don't have a picture of it royally screwed up because it was so bad. I didn't even take a picture of it, but my hair accidentally got dyed like purple and also got cut way too short. And luckily I found a hair god in Rochester who came in and fixed my hair and made it a little bit more blonde. It had some like light blonde highlights to it, I guess, which made it definitely look a lot better. Although I didn't love being a blonde. I don't know that I would go back to doing the blonde, but for the summer, it was cute. So April, I screwed up and fixed my hair all in the span of like a week. In May, my best friend Amber officially asked me to be one of her bridesmaids. I wanted to show her cute little bridesmaid box that she gave. I loved this. She had like a little scrunchie in there. She had little cookies, and she actually gave this to me the day that we were planning. I already knew I was gonna be in the wedding. Like I knew when she got engaged that I was gonna be in the wedding, but it was really important to her to do the little bridesmaid proposal box, and that was very sweet. We also picked out my bridesmaid's dress together for her wedding, which was really sweet. It was actually kind of a wedding month, huh? In May, I went to New York City with my mom and my mother-in-law, and we went to Kleinfeld's. I have a whole story time about going to Kleinfeld's on my channel. Just to put it in one word, magical. This was an incredible trip. I had so much fun going to Kleinfeld's and getting to pick out my dream wedding dress. It was unreal. I still cannot believe that this experience actually happened to me and that I got to do this. I always dreamed about going to Kleinfeld's, but I never thought I would actually get to go. So this was a really, really cool moment, and I loved this whole trip. It was so fun. And the weekend itself was just really special because I got to like bond with my mother-in-law, and like my mom got to be there for everything, and it was just a really, really special weekend. Also at the end of May, I was able to go down to Albany and meet one of my best friends who I had never met in person, and that was Nisa. If you guys don't know who Nisa is, she has a channel on YouTube. We actually met through YouTube years ago. We met through YouTube, and we are a part of a group chat that we have with a few of our other YouTube friends. We both met in Albany to meet up with our other best friend, Lacey, who also has a YouTube channel. And we got to just spend the weekend together. We like went shopping, we went to restaurants, we got amazing food. We just hung out, had like the best time in the world. We had so much fun. And this was such a memorable trip for me because getting to meet Nisa in person was incredible. Like, I'd already met Lacey in person, so it's not that it wasn't amazing seeing Lacey. I love Lacey. She's come to my house. Like, we've hung out a bunch before, but to get to meet Nisa in person and actually like hang out with her in person for the first time was just so much fun. And her and I had such a good weekend together. I'll never forget our Starbucks runs. Every morning while we waited for Lacey to wake up, Nisa and I would trek our way to a Starbucks and get some avocado spread. It was wonderful. I love Nisa. I love Lacey. And this was such a fun trip getting to see/meet both of them. It was just incredible. Now in June, a lot happened in June. In June, we moved into our brand new townhome, which is where we were living for a while. And we also went through the week and a half of hell, as I like to call it, which was a week and a half of me and everybody I could possibly call coming to get the house ready to be sold. I'm not kidding. Me, my parents, and my parents' friends, David, my friend Rick, were all there all day for a week and a half getting all of this work done. There was so much painting that needed to be done, so much work that needed to be done. Like, all of this last minute stuff that we had just never done while we were living there had to be done all of a sudden. We had to like rip up carpet. It was nuts, but we got it done in a week and a half. And then at the end of June, we actually sold our house, which was crazy. That was such a surreal experience to sell that house. June was also when I fell in love with going to the beach. There's a beach kind of close to my house that I'd actually never really been to before this summer. It's called Durand Eastman Beach. If you're in Rochester, you ever see me there, say hello. I live there in the summers. I had never really gone to this beach before, and I just fell in love with going here and going to this beach. Me and my friends would go. We'd go like starting at like 2 p.m. We'd go, and it was just an open invitation for all of our friends. We would just like meet there and have bonfires. We'd stay all day. We'd play in the water. We'd just tan. We'd just hang out and like listen to music and eat food. And it was just like a wonderful experience. I went to the beach all the time. Me and my friend David, who's been my friend for years, but him and I especially just loved going to the beach, loved getting to just lay in the sun and live my best life this summer. After quarantining for so long in 2020 and into 2021, this beach time was really valuable to me, getting to like meet new people, because the way it worked was we would have like our core group of friends go, but then like they'd invite somebody new, and then they'd invite somebody new, and like we just were constantly meeting new people and having fun and just like living our lives again. And this was a really beautiful time. So I really cherished the time I spent at the beach. I had an amazing time, and I absolutely loved the beach. Cannot speak highly enough about the beach. Also in June, I actually went back to my hometown to visit a friend that was visiting from Chicago, one of my high school friends. She was home from Chicago. I went to visit her, and I don't have a picture of us, which sucks. But anyway, I went to go visit her and have dinner with her. And while I was there, this is such a long story, but it's very nostalgic. This might be a really long video. I'm so sorry. Back in 2015, so almost 7 years ago now, when I was still living in my hometown, my friends and I were all living in one place, and we weren't really working. We were like kind of working, but not working. We would all hang out all the time, and I was going through a really hard time with my anxiety. So a way that I started being able to cope with my anxiety was by painting. And it started as painting canvases, like normal painting. It turned into vandalism. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, because we lived in such a small town, there wasn't a lot to do. So a lot of my friends and I would always go to these abandoned bridges, and that's literally where we would hang out. Like, there was Creepy Bridge, Peace Bridge, because somebody had drawn a peace sign on it. So there were all these different bridges that were completely abandoned. They're closed off from the road. Nobody can access them with their cars. So that's why we would hang out there. And we would just like go hang out by the water. And this bridge was called the Rusty Bridge. And one day I went with one of my best friends at the time, and we just were like, hey, why don't we paint the bridge? We have all this paint. We went there to paint in the first place. Like, we had our canvases. We were like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if we painted this bridge? And so we started, and then it turned into this like very large project for for me, which honestly in the summer of 2015, I needed this project. Like I was going through hell with my mental health. I needed something to do and something to focus on. And so what it turned into was us slowly but surely painting the entire bridge in like murals and different inspirational quotes and different sort of things to remind us of how, like whatever we were inspired to paint, we would paint. One of my best friends actually painted the Starry Night, like her version of the Starry Night on one of the sides. I did a lot of splatter paint stuff. It just turned into this massive thing. And then we left the bridge at the end of the summer. We stopped going. We all moved to Rochester. It wasn't really a thing anymore. But I was home for the first time in a really long time because my parents moved out of my hometown a few years ago. I wanted to go to the bridge. Like I was like, I wonder if I can even remember how to get there. Like I wonder if I know how to find it. And I did. It was like muscle memory. The second I started driving, I just found it and I saw the bridge and I took some pictures, and that's what you're seeing here is the rusty bridge. Other people had found the bridge in the last 7 years. First of all, it's a miracle how well this paint held up, because this was, I don't even know what kind of paint we were using. It was very cheap paint, but paint has held up shockingly well. We actually realized that people had found the bridge and had like signed their own names and drawn their own things. Like people that were not my friends had found it in like 2020 because they put the date next to it when they signed it. And that was super, super surreal and cool. Like that was just the craziest thing to see that like other people had found this spot and had also contributed to the rusty bridge. It was very sweet. But anyway, that was a long story, but that was very meaningful to me, was getting to go back and visit the rusty bridge. That was a really nice moment. Also in July, I went on a vacation with my husband and his family to Keuka Lake, got these amazing pictures. This weekend was incredible. We spent like 2 days on a boat. I loved every second of it. This was a beautiful, really fun weekend that I really enjoyed. In July, I went to Chicago to visit my sister. One of the most memorable things about this trip was I got to see the Obama portraits in person. So I was able to go look at them. They had a special exhibit happening at the Chicago Museum of Art. I think that's what it's called. And we were able to see them in person, which was super cool. Just super surreal. I loved getting to see that. And I also got to see the bean. This is me with the bean. Also in July, I went on a trip with just 3 of my best friends, David, Rick, and Zach. They've been on the channel before. They've been on the vlog channel, but we went on a 4-day, I think it was, vacation. We just rented a Verbo up in Lake Ontario. It was like 45 minutes from us, but we had just the best time. This was such a fun weekend. I had an amazing time on this trip and I will never forget it. We made so many good memories and it was just, amazing, the best. I don't have a lot of pictures from August because August was kind of a dark time. This summer, while it like all looks very cute in these pictures, I feel like there is something important to note here, which is that I was really deeply struggling with my mental health from about June to the end of August. There's actually not a lot of pictures even from August because I have a whole video about this, but I was hospitalized for mental health reasons and I was just really going through it. I was like having a really hard time. So there's not a ton of pictures from this time, but the one picture I do have, which mom, maybe just skip ahead like 2 minutes because I feel like my mom's gonna be mad at me. But my best friend David gave me a stick and poke tattoo. I don't recommend stick and poke tattoos. I'm not trying to endorse them. They can be very dangerous. However, we made matching Saturns on our leg and we call ourselves the Saturn Sisters. And this was a highlight of my August, was doing the stick and poke tattoos. This was very fun. Mine looks way better now than it does in this picture. I want to make that known. It looks really, 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 really bad in this picture, but in person, it's not that bad. September was my best friend Amber's wedding, and honestly, this was like the most memorable thing that happened in September. I was still kind of struggling during this time, but her wedding was so much fun. It was such a beautiful day. She looked gorgeous. And also this one picture I want to show you is actually when I was a senior in high school, I was in Girl Scouts, and the only reason I was in Girl Scouts was not just because I like enjoyed, you know, the Girl Scouts and everything like that, but me and my 4 best friends at the time, my 4 best girlfriends, were all in the Girl Scouts together, and it was just the 5 of us, and we actually did a Europe trip my senior year, which when I tell people that, they're like, you went to Europe with the Girl Scouts? I think we only were able to pull it off because number 1, we fundraised for like 3 years, and number 2, it was such a small amount of people going. It was like only 5 of us, so it was much easier to plan and coordinate. But we actually all reunited at Amber's wedding, and the woman in the middle is my Girl Scout troop leader, who I absolutely adore. She's one of the like guiding forces of my youth. She's also one of my best friend's moms, so I love her. But this was really cool to get to see everyone again together and all be together again. The 5 of us plus our Girl Scout troop leader had not been together in a really, really long time. So this was just a really beautiful, beautiful time. I was so happy this happened. October was a lot of quarantining. It was, because I went to that wedding, I had to quarantine, and then I also got really sick. So I had to quarantine away from Charles, and we did a lot of Facebook Messenger calls together. I had this very cute screenshot of him showing me Oliver over Facebook Messenger video. So there was that. And then in November, and that was honestly all of October. Now, October was not super eventful. Most of the fall was actually not super eventful because I was still really dealing with my mental health. So there's not a lot of memories I have from this time other than just being like very sad. That's mental health. The next picture is from November, and this is one of my good friend Jill's wedding. This was such a fun wedding. I got to go to Buffalo with two of my best friends that I made in the social work program. We got all dressed up together. We got ready together. We got a hotel together. We just had such a good day and got to like really hang out and see each other. And also in November, we closed on this house. We bought this house, which was super exciting. I still cannot believe this is our house. Like, I still can't believe this is real and that we live here. I was thinking about the other day, I was just straining pasta in the kitchen sink because I was like making pasta for dinner. And I was standing there straining pasta and I was like, this is my kitchen in my house. And this is very surreal that this is like where I live. Like, this is just the most insane thing on the planet. I love having space. I love having room to like do my job. I love having room to see the dogs run around. Like, everything about this house has been such a blessing and has been amazing, and I've loved it. Also in November, I was on television. Yeah, I was on E! News. I made a whole video about that too, but I was on E! News. I've been interviewed for it like a year prior, but I was on E! News, and that was freaking crazy. Like, that was the craziest thing. That was the most surreal thing. Honestly, the house plus that was like too surreal all at once. It was so surreal seeing myself on television, and it was also just like the coolest thing ever. So I was on TV. That was a huge milestone and very cool. And then now we get to December, which not much has happened this December other than Glowmas. December is always kind of like that for me just because Glowmas takes up so much time. But in December, I actually did start sort of expanding upon people that, I don't like to say people that work for me because that feels very weird, but I did hire an assistant who's one of my really good friends. And I also hired my friend David to he kind of does everything. Him and I started a podcast together. So he does a lot of social media stuff, but he also cleans. He does a lot, but he's basically a jack of all trades. And yeah, that was my December really, was just like hanging out with, we call ourselves the Glow team. And we just hung out and adjusted to the house and, you know, did Glowmas, and that was kind of it. But yeah, that was my year in review. That was like my highs, my lows, my everything. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was entertaining. I'm sorry if it was so long, but guess I had a lot more to say than I thought. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope you like this video. Let me know down below how your 2021 was. Try to think, it's really, really easy to remember how shitty 2021 was because it was a really bad year. Like, for me too, it was a terrible year. But I think it's good to at least try to think of one good thing that happened in the year, because I'm sure for most people, there was at least one moment that was positive. My favorite moment of the year, getting to watch the dogs come into the house for the very first time, that was my highlight of my entire year. That made everything so worth it. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope you like this video. I hope you have a happy and safe new year. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. I'm honestly just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for continuing to be here, and thank you for every joyous thing that happened this year, because 99% of it was because of you guys. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!